Hey, and we're back. This is Chance Shirley, one of the co-directors and co-writers for Few Zombies More, which we're watching and talking about right now. And I've got Josh Hester with me. He is our makeup man and well, and everything else, you know, and the guy you go to at the end of the night if you're looking for maybe a little bit of whiskey.
Absolutely.
So this scene, Thunderdome, as we affectionately refer to it, man, this was a crazy night of shooting. The crowd here that is pumped up for Chuck to get eaten by this zombie. These guys were so into it.
Yeah,
you
there's
know?
Ruben on the background.
Oh yeah, there's Ruben,
a zombie,
a wall zombie. Chris Hartzell is the master of ceremonies.
Mike Cunliffe.
Yeah, Mike. One of my other favorite zombies in the movie. So Mike is the editor of this movie. He's also an accomplished actor, and we were trying to figure out somebody to play this kind of. I love that lick.
No, I like his line better. Put a shirt
on. We were looking for somebody. You know, Chuck's a pretty tall guy, and so we wanted a zombie, an actor to play the zombie here that could kind of be imposing. And Mike's got to be what, 6'3" or something.
Yeah,
you know, and he's lanky, and he's got the crazy contacts. He really. One of my favorite zombie performances in the movie. He really gave it all. A lot of these inserts, we ran out of time when we were originally shooting, so a lot of these close-up inserts we actually picked up the day later. So like that shot right there, was just like me on the floor crawling around with the camera, and then Chuck and Mike, kind of fighting it out. But it matches together pretty well. I tend to, when I watch it, forget which scenes we shot with an actual crowd and which scenes we just kind of faked after the fact.
Yeah.
Michael, I love that bit where Michael tells the guy, I said, all y'all put your hands up, and he shoots the one guy who didn't do that.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! I think that might be me doing the dub there.
That's great.
I'm a terrible actor, but when I'm editing and I need random voiceover, I'll just do it and then forget to like actually get an actor to do it later, and then it's just kind of in there. Oh, so funny thing about the plastic explosive there. If you look, if you were to complain and say, "Hey, that doesn't look like plastic explosive. It looks like yellow Play-Doh," that's a fair criticism. That being said, I looked up the actual plastic explosive Semtex, and it looks like Play-Doh as well. So what are you going to do?
It totally does. Yeah, I especially like that other scene there when he does chop Hungry Jack in the head with the machete. That was actually him chopping down towards you, laying on the ground, and me laying beside you, throwing blood up at his face.
There's a behind the scenes photo of that. That's one of my favorites. It's like. I just always love it when I've got the camera and I'm like crawling around on the ground and laying on my back and yeah, I guess Chuck was. I was basically playing the zombie for the camera, so yeah. Chuck was like straddling me, and it's really funny when you pull back and see the behind the scenes of that. I need 3 things. First, I need some morphine because this really hurts. Chris is a lot of fun.
He's always hilarious on set. I do remember him showing up several times and be like, "Hey, I forgot my wardrobe." It's like, it's a white t-shirt and jeans, man. There's Brian Maddox.
Yeah, good old Brian.
Big imposing figure. Helped out a lot on makeup, actually. He came out several days and helped me with prosthetics.
Does he still work at Atrox?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
But he has done like haunts and stuff before. That's where he got his makeup experience.
Yeah. He was, and this is in Atrox.
This sewer set, which is part of the haunted house at Atrox over in Leeds, Alabama, is just absolutely gorgeous. And
plus, I love the way Jimbo lit it as well.
Well, and I was about to say it's a really cool looking set. And the way Jimbo lit it. I mean, I guess if there was somebody who really knew a lot about, actual sewage systems could probably come in here and nitpick it and talk about all the things that were unrealistic about it. But I just think that with the lighting, it really looks great, you know, and it was really cool that Atrox, you know, let us get in there to shoot it. There's several sets at Atrox that I would love to go in and light and turn into like a real movie set, you know.
And I especially really liked whenever Michael was shooting into the room full of zombies. That was actually the first weekend of shooting.
Oh my gosh.
That was the second day of shooting.
Yeah, and we were way behind schedule that
right
day.
here somewhere. I think we already saw the female zombie get the headshot.
Mm-hmm.
Stacy Shirley was sitting on the other side of that wall, and I squirted blood, and it went all the way over and hit Stacy, and I just heard her yell, and that was just, I thought I was in trouble.
Oh, you know, it's just part of the process, you know. A lot of these Jimbo did a lot. There's not a lot of digital effects in this movie. We tried to do it as much, you know, on the day, you know, like practical as we could. But there's like right here where there's if you look really closely, there's a really subtle blood squib that comes out. Chuck shooting around the corner.
This is a great shot.
Oh my gosh, yeah, with the shotgun. That guy was like a real cop,
yes.
right? Yeah. I don't know.
He was basically just wearing his uniform.
Yeah, there were so many people that you know, I'd be working on director stuff or whatever, and I don't even know how we got this police officer to come in and act for us, but he's obviously got a great look and he knows how to work a shotgun, you know.
Yeah. There's my buddy Chriso in the background.
Oh, I forgot he was out that
there.
day. Yeah,
had his mouth painted with blood.
Man, that set is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, most people looking at this, they wouldn't think haunt.
Oh no!
You know?
Like I said, it really looks like some kind of sewage control center, you know. And I love this is the place they're coming out of is completely different. But I love we're doing the fake moonlight coming down from above, you know, with all the fog and everything. One thing I learned on Interplanetary that I think we did a good job of implementing in this movie is when in doubt, more fog.
Exactly.
It just makes your lighting look so much more dramatic.
Yeah.
And even if you can't justify the fog, spray some fog and then kind of let it dissipate a little bit. Yeah, and it just kind of gives you like a dusty look.
Here we go.
Oh, actual explosion. That was Josh. Explain how the explosion worked.
That was coffee creamer. Coffee creamer.
Fair warning: coffee creamer is very flammable.
Only when airborne. So we hooked up a air compressor and had a hose run into a funnel that was full of coffee creamer, and we had a ignition source. And whenever we fired it up, when it's airborne, it flames up pretty good.
It was almost kind of like a coffee creamer driven blowtorch.
But you got to watch, that stuff is sticky soup. It's worse than glue once it melts and it burns. So
it's like a little
word of caution.
Little napalm.
Yeah, word of caution there. And this is actually in a elementary school parking lot.
Mm-hmm. We spent a lot of time trying to get enough light on those trees in the background so that it just didn't go to black back there. Man, Jimbo did some amazing work with a very tiny light kit.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was, we started the movie with a decent sized light kit, and we just ran those lights ragged. And by the end of the movie, I had like 3 lights that still worked.
We had 3 of those tiny lights that we bought along the way. That was, yeah, that's true. We did start with a lot of lights. Cheesy bunnies. Lee's always eating. That's
his trademark.
Yeah. But you got to be a pretty resourceful guy to always have munchies in the post-apocalyptic landscape.
Yeah, those poor cheesy bunnies after 10 years were probably pretty stale, but I guess, you know, any port in a storm. Speaking of things that we learned in movies, one of the things I learned in that garbage can fire scene there, that was basically we had an actual barrel, and we just put some sticks and stuff in it and set it on fire. there was so much smoke that nobody standing around could breathe,
No.
you know. And so, for future reference, you know, if we're going to do a gag like that again, I think we need like a gas-driven source, you know, like basically like a fake, you know.
Yeah.
So it's real fire, but it's you know, you don't have as, you know, much smoke with a gas source like that. So. So if you're making a movie and you need a fire scene, don't actually just set a bunch of sticks on fire because nobody around is going to be able to breathe. And Lisa's makeup there that Josh did looks great, where she's all half burned from the explosion in the sewer. I really that's just so good. So you can see the smoke.
Yeah.
We're cutting away from Chuck when he's coughing. Yeah, I guess the best way to do that would be to have a fog machine blowing fog, and then a gas source for the actual, you know, light and fire.
Well, you just got to find what kind of wood doesn't put off as much smoke as
Yeah,
whatever
maybe
we built it out of.
we just went back in the woods and grabbed a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
So I was a little well, you know, you always you go to war with the film crew and equipment that you have. In the script, I figured at the end of the world, Jim, the zombie eater, is probably going to be driving around in a really cool like muscle car, and we called in every favor we could and never could find a muscle car. So we ended up using Trapp's HRR, the little truck type vehicle, which was actually, it was easier to fit zombies in the back of that than it would be in the trunk of a Camaro. But yeah, a big old Camaro would have been awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
So
It was Chris?
this is so is Chris Davis playing the scientist, and is this the first time we see him and the chief?
Yep.
Is this their both first appearance? And we're very coy with the chief. We hide his face until the big reveal at the end. Spoiler, it's a twist. I'm trying to remember who came up with the twist about the chief's relationship with the girl with no name. Now it was probably Chuck.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good with all that kind of stuff. I just try to find clever things for the characters to say, and I'm not really good with actual characters. Just more
I
like
don't know about that.
Do you remember who the kid was that played the zombie in this scene coming up?
Yeah, his name's Justin. I can't remember his last name right offhand. I have worked with him on a couple of other things.
He's another good sport. He basically gets shot and then does this face plant, and he did it 2 or 3 times, and every time he would do it, I'd be like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because he just falls flat on his face on the dirt.
Yeah, with no pillows, nothing to catch you, just, you know. But he, you know, people want to be a zombie. They want to do it for real. So
He was definitely doing it for real.
Yeah, and he was cool. That was my only zombie makeup for that day, so we just sat in there and talked a lot while we was doing makeup. That was a good thing. We had a nice Traps trailer to use for all the makeup purposes. And the chief there built his own hook, which is amazing. It took some stuff off me because I had plenty of other things to worry about. But when he said he was going to design it himself, I was like, absolutely.
Man, Kyle Holman's so great. He's Kyle is I don't want to disparage anybody and because we work with a lot of accomplished actors, but Kyle might be the most accomplished actor that we work with. This whole scene, I really like the way it. Oh, look at that blood spray! That was so good. But yeah, aside from being a talented and accomplished actor, Kyle's very very handy. And when I told him that the chief only had one hand and he had like a hook or something for the other hand, he came up with this big insane pointy thing. You know,
a lot of talented people on this crew. You know, he's an actor, but he pulls that off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How did he even make that? Did he like?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I'm like, I'm sure that he told me at some point, but there was so much great crafting going on in this movie. Now, this is all probably 100 feet from my parents' house.
I was about to say, that's the Shirley's property.
Yeah, that's
there.
the Shirley's property. Speaking of wonderful people, they don't get much better than my parents. They've always been really supportive of our movie stuff, and they live kind of down in the woods south of Montevallo, Alabama, and so sometimes if we have some simple woody type scenes we need to do like this one, I just said, hey, you guys come down to Mom's and Dad's, and we'll have somewhere we can, get snacks and go to the bathroom.
It's always nice to have a bathroom.
Yeah,
on
it's always
set.
nice to have an actual bathroom on set, and like I said, all this stuff is maybe 100 feet from their front door. It's just if you turn the camera around the other direction, you would see their house and their driveway.
Yeah. Which also a lot of Michael's Walking Around in Hide and Creep was filmed there in the back, right?
That's actually in the my parents, and it's really probably mostly my grandparents' land, but
a lot of property.
A lot of property back there. Yeah, my granddad when he was still alive. Him and his buddies like to go fox hunting, and by fox hunting, what I mean is they have all this land, and they have a fox that they take care of. It's like a pet fox,
right?
And they let it go at night, and then they listen to the dogs chase the fox, and they'll eventually the dogs will run the fox up a tree, and they'll go carefully get the fox out of the tree, and they'll put him back in his pen and feed him, and it's just really, the old guys, they really mostly like to just sit around the campfire and listen to the dogs bark.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was actually, like you said, this is like right off the driveway, actually.
Yeah, like I say, if you turn the camera around, I mean, it's just like, there's all this, stuff behind, or there's a very nice house behind it. I'm trying to remember, was Jimbo out that day with the lighting?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I think it was just basically us.
Huh.
I think it was you and myself, Trap, because that was his little nephew there that got stabbed in the head.
Trap's nephew. So Trap's sister was there.
That's right.
So if I did the lighting this day, I did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Well, and plus, also, there's a street light there that we're under as well.
Oh yeah, so we were
not to say you didn't do a good job on lighting, but we also had a big little street light out there.
Yeah, my parents have like a big. It's they're not really on a street, but it's one of those lights like you would see. It's like a utility light basically on a big pole. So yeah, we were probably able to draft off of that a little bit. Scenes like this, a lot, like I said, a lot with the lighting is just trying to get enough light on the background action that it just doesn't look like they're in a black hole.
Yeah.
You want to insinuate that there's some trees and that sort of stuff behind them.
So it doesn't look like one of those 70s movies, the drive-in movies where everybody's just way too dark.
Yeah, it's like, there's a light on somebody's face and it's just, everything's black behind them. Yeah, and I think we shot this during a warmer period. This is all supposed to be set in the fall, but, we were shooting year-round, so I just saw a bug fly by Michael that would have probably not been, in season, as it were.
There's Mr. James Brown.
James Brown, the Godfather of Soul.
Yep.
So Josh and I were talking before we started recording. A lot of the footage here, it's mostly the kind of straight front-on shots. The truck isn't actually moving in those shots. It's what they call a poor man process. Where that's me as the zombie that just got run over. It's what they call a poor man's process. Which I think the first time I heard about it was watching. It was either watching the commentary of the John Carpenter's Fog movie, or Chuck had told me about it, that he had watched the commentary. So basically, what you do is you just have a truck that's not driving, but you've got crew members just kind of swaying it back and forth a little bit, and you play with the lights a little bit, and it gives you a pretty good illusion that the truck's moving.
You always got to have one guy swinging a branch.
To give you some shadows past.
And here's the horde.
So we shot this one pretty early too, didn't we?
Yeah, this was when it was still chilly.
And I think our idea was, since it was such an ambitious scene, let's just try to go ahead and get it out of the way.
Yeah.
So, but depending on who you ask, how many extras you think we had at peak that day? 100?
No, it was the last I heard, they said 175 showed up.
Holy crap.
So, but all of them did not get made up. We made up a great portion of that, and it was just myself, Barry, and Brian, two guys that at the time were working at Atrox, and there's my hand cutting on the light. And
hand cameo.
But yeah, so me and two other guys cranked out these zombies on that day, and it was all day long. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, Stacy and John White and Rachel Thompson.
Oh yeah.
And Kelly Marshall, I think they were all there basically wrangling all the extras, and then they were sending them into the trailer to get made up. It was.
Yeah, we had an assembly line outside of the trailer waiting to get in to get makeup.
And another day, I mean, look at this lighting.
Yeah.
I love it when I love the kind of classic horror movie fake moonlight look where there's no realistic light source, but you basically just kind of overdo it with fog and with blue light. And this is again Jimbo working with not a lot of equipment and just really delivering gorgeous cinematography as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it was. I remember. I think you guys shot this part before all the extras came down there, maybe, or was it after?
I think the extras came down like right at dark, so I think this was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Because we were sending them down, and because where we actually made up and where we shot was about 300-400 yards distance, probably.
Yeah, I mean it was really.
We
kind
had a
of
golf cart on that day. We were fancy. Ruben brought the golf cart,
like 2 trailers.
Yeah. It was very surreal too, because I would be in the trailer doing the makeup, and you would look outside, and we were in a park. We were in a big park set up there for base,
like a park with like picnic tables.
And you look out, and there's zombies that are swinging on swings and playing frisbee, and it's a whole family thing, and it was very surreal.
Yeah, there's a great little character bit earlier where the girl with no name is threatening to torture the bad guys for information, and Lee showing his moral fiber is like, we're not going to torture anybody.
I'm not torturing anybody.
Yeah, that's the information you get from torture is not even going to be accurate anyways. You know,
leave it up to Lee to be the voice of reason here.
Exactly. And then
so Mia came back for a day, I think.
Yeah, we got all Mia's stuff done. So this was another one of those. So Mia, who had a small part she had a big part in Interplanetary. She had a small part in Hide and Creep. Chuck had come up with the idea of bringing her back for the sequel, and of course I was immediately down with it. And I just didn't know if we'd be able to get Mia because she was living in, I think she's still living in New Orleans. But she's a fantastic actress and just a great person. And so Mia took a bus from New Orleans all the way
Montgomery.
I think to Montgomery, and then I guess she borrowed a car to get from Montgomery to Birmingham, and came out and hung out with us for a day, and we just had the best time. We got some great stuff from her acting wise. Mia's done small parts living in New Orleans. She's done small parts in a lot of like big Hollywood productions. And she said of all the stuff that she's worked on in the last few years, she had a lot more fun with us than she did on any of those big Hollywood shoots. And so that of course made us all feel really nice.
Shoot, yeah, you gotta. That's the thing about it. Yeah, we get the work done, but there's some hangout there, and there's a lot of good vibes. Nobody's being an ass about things, and it's big. Those big movies are much different.
Yeah, it's funny how. And I talk about this a lot. How watching these movies that we make that are really on barely a budget, they're difficult to make, But watching them, they kind of, it's almost like watching really weird home movies,
right?
Because as much as I'm proud of the story that we were able to tell, it's I just think about the things that were happening on the day, and it's always surprising that we're so busy and the days are so long. And there's still we still manage to find all these little moments to just have fun and appreciate, spending time together.
Oh yeah, a lot of funny stories came from these sets. I mean, everybody, for the most part, was having a great time, and we found sometimes here and there to do some jokes and
the occasional shenanigans,
play some pranks a little bit. So yeah.
Do you remember where this radio station was?
This was the first day of shooting.
It was the first day of shooting.
And it was in
Phoenix City?
Pell City.
Pell City. Yeah, this was so our friend Lisa that's in the movie. She was a DJ, and she knew some other DJs in the business, and this is a tiny little station in Pell City, and she managed to talk the guy into letting us come down, and we basically took over pretty much for a night.
Yeah.
And Kevin Van Heining as DJ Dan, a character I'd come up with years ago for a different post-apocalyptic story, and I love Dan so much I just kind of borrowed him from that story and put him into this one. But Kevin's a lot of fun. I love the glasses with no lenses. That was a perfect hipster hipster move for him. But again, it's one of those things where when I explained the character to Kevin, he did a lot of he basically did all of the wardrobe himself. Right. I told him what I needed, and he just showed up ready to go.
Kevin's always really good. Everything that I've ever seen him in or worked with him on, he's always been really, really good.
And Kevin is he's actually a really good artist too. He draws and he does like kind of caricature stuff and comic book. He writes his own like indie comic books. Did you know that?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, he's always teasing them on Instagram.
Okay.
And every time I run into him, I'm like, hey, I want to buy a copy of that. He's like, well, it's not quite out yet, But so I'm always seeing his like almost finished art, but I never quite get a copy of the finished thing.
Right.
I don't think them glasses are real, man.
I just love how when they show up, he just hands her some 8x10s. It's just like they're fans.
just assuming that they've made the journey to get some swag from him.
Which and also this is another kind of a first. I mean, I don't remember having a rock band or a radio station in I can't ever say it.
Post-apocalyptic
wasteland.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
I'm sure surely there's been a radio station, but I think maybe I definitely don't think I've seen a rock band before. But I've just got to imagine that there's some guy on even if it's not a real radio station, just some guy on the on like the what do you call it, the shortwave, broadcasting songs and news and that sort of thing. But yeah, we kind of picked a relatively simple scene for the first day, but that being said, there was still a lot of, even though we'd all worked together before, it had been a while since we'd worked together on anything, and there were some new people involved. That was the first day that our buddy Jeff showed up. Jeff Carroll showed up,
and
to
Jeff
work.
was amazing.
Yep. That poor kid kind of found us on the internet and wanted to know if we needed any help, and we were like, well, actually we usually don't, but we're actually about to start something. And we just threw him into the deep end, and he was always a trooper. I think that day we had him like blacking out windows so we could pretend it was night inside when it was actually still daylight when we were shooting.
Look at this handsome fellow.
Oh yeah. Here. So in case you're wondering what Josh looks like, you get to see him, a pretty good look at him. He plays the tower sniper here.
Yeah, I'm about to shoot some zombies.
I think that middle zombie's let's see, so one of those zombies is maybe Ruben's kid. Is that right?
Ruben's son, and
is it your friend Wendy?
Wendy is the middle zombie, and there's I can't remember that fella's name. That's the other zombie, but he drove from like Huntsville or something to come do this.
Yeah,
him. He was a great sport. He stayed there all night.
Was in the movie for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, he shows up as a zombie here in a little bit too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We always the law of what would that be? The law of reusing. I don't know. Yeah. If the shoot goes on long enough, the basic rule of thumb is if you're already a zombie, then we'll just make you a different zombie at some point later in the night. Oh, nice blood spray. Poor Josh.
Yeah.
His cameo was short lived.
Oh no.
As far as dummy throws go, it's not bad. I've seen worse. I've seen worse.
Those were durable dummies. I built those. Very sturdy.
Somebody had done an internet, a YouTube supercut of like really bad dummy explosions and dummy throws from movies, and it's pretty hilarious when you watch them all back to back to back.
Oh yeah. They're usually really floppy.
Yeah,
which I made sure ours wasn't floppy.
We weren't quite up to. We haven't quite moved up to the point where we're throwing real stuntmen off of roofs onto soft bags.
and this is George, the actual security guard for Wade Sand and Gravel.
Yeah. So all this quote unquote powerhouse stuff. It happens at an old I guess it's like an old mill or an old electrical building at a a sand quarry.
Rock quarry. Build around it now.
Yeah,
but these are old buildings right in the middle of the property
that are in disuse. And it's an amazing. We shot a lot of interplanetary stuff out there for Mars. And George would drive by and see us shooting every night, and he'd be like, "Hey man, what are you guys doing?" And we would tell him we're shooting a movie, and he'd stick around a little bit. And finally, either he asked if we'd put him in the movie, or somebody asked him if he wanted to do a cameo.
He asked me. He said, "When you gonna put me in a movie?" I said, "Well, I can get you in a movie. We always need somebody.
I'm gonna put you in a movie, man. Don't even worry about it."
But and funny thing, this is the back entrance to H Rocks, which was the police station in Hyde Creek. It's changed a lot since then.
So we wrote the change into the script because I think Chuck came up with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know why you'd have an ice machine in the back of a police station. But
I mean, they like cold drinks too.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, this is one of those scenes where I really think that the character interplay here is really solid, and we could have shot it anywhere and it would sold, you know.
Absolutely.
I really like I really like you know, what I had come up with a fair amount of the story talking with Michael Shelton, the actor that plays Lee and Clint, and worked on it some with Chuck as well. But Chuck really kind of brought home probably the last, what would that have been? Probably the last third or quarter of the script pretty much on his own. And he really brought a lot of the more kind of serious character moment. And I hate to say serious, but yeah, I mean, it's there's some actual, you know, some human drama here, you know, and I think Chuck's hand kind of kept it from just being, you know, a silly, you know, zombie comedy adventure, and kind of added some kind of dramatic stakes. But hey, we're about to come up on a commercial, so we're going to let you go, and we will see you for the finale for A Few Zombies More here in a minute.